never wanted to leave. She never wanted to leave.
Pretty sure you have the desktop audio on again, Tyler.
No, I don't.
Oh, no, I'm just listening to your stream, that's all. Smile.
Yeah, I had the same issue.
All right, boys, we have a lot to discuss today.
Before we do that, I want to hit you with something real quick.
A spoiler warning?
Well, obviously a spoiler warning, but I don't think we gave it last time.
Oh, shit!
But that's what I
Buster
wanted to hit you
Bistro.
with.
Thank you
Here's
so much for
Free
that.
Prime sub.
For that Prime
You know?
sub, you know.
My parents pay for it.
Thanks, Mama Butt Soup. Mama Bistro.
You're gonna be hanging out with Mama Bistro here on Saturday.
Yeah.
We might be a little late on the next one because of it, but we'll try and get it out with due haste.
Okay, I think we can't start off this conversation without talking about that ending. What did you guys think about it? Did you expect it at all? Like, I know.
First of all, I
Ashley-
liked it.
Yeah.
I want to say that. Second of all, you had to expect an ending to the Night King. We can get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything pointed to him ending this episode.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, I know there was a popular theory. Tyler, you like this theory of them dropping back and not destroying the Night King.
Yeah.
But I think like the logistics of having a second episode of the Night King and the whole Night King's army sort of prevented them from doing that. Like there was a reason this episode was longer than all the rest, because like budget constraints would mean that, you know, like how the fuck are they going to record another episode with that entire army?
Yeah. No, after it happened, I was really happy how it happened and think exactly what you said. Like it would have drug on way too long. Like once it was over, I'm like, wow, I'm really glad this plot line is wrapped up and we can get back to the human political drama that is Game of Thrones instead of, you know, this whole like Night King business, which is cool and a cool device that like leads into, I think, the most important thing, and that is Cersei is definitively going to be the big bad villain of Westeros now. Like it's not the Night King anymore, and it might come true that he never really was the biggest threat, and that it was always Cersei and the Lannisters. So
Yeah.
Ashley, what was your opinion?
We've already talked so basically I stand kind of along the lines of, I just won't share.
What?
I think
Hold on. Form a fucking opinion real quick, dude.
Yeah, I have an opinion, god damn it. Listen to me. So I'm okay with the ending. I wasn't unhappy with it. What really bothered me though is we got 7.5 seasons of John's gonna face off with the Night King and it's gonna be epic, and flying Arya stabbed in the chest.
he did though. He had a giant dragon battle for like 15 minutes. Like that was epic.
I would
That
also
was so
argue
cool.
that John's actions, more so than a lot of people's, directly resulted in so many people being at Winterfell, culminating in this battle that led to the Night King's death.
Yeah.
Like, I know, like, the whole prophecy of the Azor Ahai is kind of fucked now, and so we're no longer talking about who directly killed the Night King, but who sort of, like, created events to kill the Night King, or, like, you really have to, like, shoehorn stuff in to get this to work. So I'm kind of of the opinion, like, not worry about that and instead think about, like, all the different strings people are pulling to get this to happen the way it did.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my issue is I'm still looking at it from a context of the books. And if I just think of it from like Game of Thrones, the show, then I will appreciate this last episode a lot more. Like, don't get me wrong.
Did you read the books?
No, but I've read a lot about.
First of all,
what's
fuck you,
in the
dude.
books.
Yeah.
You've just read people's opinions who read the books.
Yeah. And also in the books, John's dead. Like, he's dead.
Yeah.
Like, there is no way to, if you just read the books, to conclude, oh yeah, Jon's gonna kill the Night King. There is no way you can conclude that because he's dead. And there's a lot of like hints that he'll come back to life, but like also
I'm of the same team that you're on, Tyler, where I am happy that the Night King's done and that we can move on to more like I don't know, like more intricate threats and like human connections. And a lot of opinions that I've been reading online from also people who probably read the book even though I didn't, but they were saying like the book is about how human conflict doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is like outliving the long night. And then the show was like, actually, the long night doesn't matter. Human conflict is the thing that matters.
yeah.
And I think like if we can all move past that and sort of agree with George R. R. Martin that regardless of either one of those, there's a strand of truth that there's human conflict in everybody, regardless of if one outlives the other. And I think it's hilarious and also sort of ironic that that is the thread of truth of this story, and then people are creating human conflict in a meta sense about what it actually is. So like people are feeling strife within themselves and arguing with other people about what like the plot was
Yeah.
and what it should be. And then they're like using this quote from George R. R. Martin without even realizing like he made you live this in your own life, not just in the show, because of like the way it was written, this amazing production, and the differences that were introduced for consistency for the show versus the books. And I'm glad they did it that way, because otherwise someone would be pissed. I mean, everyone's going to be pissed no matter what.
Yeah.
Like there'll
Yeah.
always be a group.
There's definitely no way to make everyone happy.
And like the key to me is for like a good plot twist is a plot twist that happens and you don't think it's random. And that you think back and be like, okay, now it makes sense. Like all the
Yes.
different events that happened. And I think
But
Arya
for
killing...
me, I didn't feel that at all.
Oh.
Like I didn't.
Were
Wait,
you
which
paying
part
it-
though?
Yeah.
Can we get a concrete example here?
The
Arya
there
killing
were-
the Night King.
there was 2 points that kind of led to that. One, Bran giving her the the dagger last season, which all right, small thing. There's literally 100 of those for every single character. And then the other one being that in like season 3, Melisandre told her she would like kill lots of people with colored eyes, but like sure she said blue, but she said it in the middle, and literally she listed the 3 most popular eye colors: brown, blue, and green. I mean, maybe if the Night King had purple eyes and she said, oh yeah, and a guy with purple eyes.
There was also... I think there's a lot more than that. This season, when she met Jon Snow in the Godswood, Jon was like, well, how'd you sneak up on me? And then she was like, well, I was trained to do so. And like just right in that one spot.
Season 1 with her swordmaster. Was it season 1?
Yeah, when she was like, what do you say to the
dancing
god
coach?
of... Yeah, when she was like, what do you say to the god of death? Who could the god of death be? Huh?
Oh, maybe the dude who's raising the fucking
The
undead to kill everybody.
personification of death. Like, that has been like her mantra.
The season 1 thing though was much more pointing towards like the faceless god. Like there's no way. Like they even admitted in the after show credits that like they didn't know it was Arya until like 3 years ago, and like in season 1 they didn't know it was going to be Arya.
But it works out though.
Yeah.
Like it's
I'm
a
saying
testament
if
to
you look
consistent
for it,
writing.
you can find those things with any characters.
Yeah, but
Not necessarily.
not any characters. I think the fact that they wouldn't have had Arya do it if it didn't make sense within the story and they didn't have those seeds already planted for people to find. Like if it was I'm trying to think. If it was Jaime Lannister, that wouldn't make as much sense. Like as
even
Stark in general. Like I think Stark's connection to the night, like the White Walkers, just by like, you know, their house being like Winterfell and, You know,
The weirwood tree,
the werewood
the
trees,
first men,
like the first, yeah, all of that stuff. The fact that it was a Stark also,
Bran's a three-eyed raven.
yeah,
I think also like it wouldn't really make sense for Jon to do it. Besides, if you assume the prophecy is just out the window when they're making this episode, it doesn't really make sense for Jon to do it because he's always sort of just failed at the like the leadership and responsibility people give him. He doesn't ask for it, he doesn't want it, and then he doesn't do that good of a job, to be honest. Like he does unite the wildlings and the people south of the wall.
yeah.
That's like about it. He when he's king of the north, he gives up his crown to a foreign invader.
But the thing
When
is with
he
that too is that they trust him so much that they were okay with that, especially a Targaryen who's been a tyrant in the Seven Kingdoms, like prior to Robert Baratheon.
Yeah, I heard. I also read that there was there's like talk about how the dagger that was used to kill the Night King can be traced back all the way to the invent of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, so another good point is that dagger was clearly seen in the Citadel when like Sam was like scrolling through books trying to find anything about how to kill the White Walkers. You saw that dagger. There is a very clear scene where Cat's
Yeah.
Paw is right there. That's another big one too. It's like, how did I not like make that connection?
Also, can I be a little bit assholey here? Apparently, that dagger is not actually named Cat's Paw. That's just the name of like the assassin.
Oh, really?
The daggers doesn't have a legit name like a Valyrian steel weapon normally does. Cat's Paw was given to it after they found it on the body of the assassin when he tried to kill Bran.
Oh,
Yeah, it's still unclear how Littlefinger got it, I think.
yeah. But like that whole just like wrap around of the story, it's like that weapon that was supposed to kill Bran in season 1 ended up killing the White
I do want to
Walker,
take
and, like,
just a second to like bask in my rant. I don't remember if it was the first or second episode of this Game of Thrones analysis, but I was getting really frustrated with you two talking about prophecies because as someone who like didn't read a bunch of stuff online, I had no idea what prophecies there were. They don't really talk about them besides like
yeah.
the Lord of Light is like has a plan for everyone, and that's like hinting at the prince who is promised,
Yeah.
but like they don't really go that in depth. They don't really give the criteria, nothing.
Yeah. I think Mel referenced the prince's promise directly a couple times, but still never like gave more than like a line of the prophecy.
Yeah. So kind of moving on to like more of kind of like moving a little bit backwards too. So why the fuck did Melisandre just decide like I'm gonna die like super randomly? Like I liked it, but also it seemed kind of an odd note to end the show on. What'd you guys think?
So
I think
the
it was
theory,
mostly like a promise. Like one, she kind of fulfilled her purpose or whatever the Lord of Light had planned for her, but two,
Yeah.
like she knew that like if she didn't like go out on her own, she was gonna suffer something at either the hands of
Yeah.
Davos or Snow.
And I think it kind of gives more context to the first time she took the glamour off. I think
Hot
then
take
she was
is-
trying to kill herself because she realized I fucked up so many times. Every time, like I think she just finished killing Shireen after that, and then nothing happened, or like they lost the war or something. She
Yeah.
took the glamour off, and she basically I feel like was gonna kill herself, but then she didn't die, so she must have thought the Lord of
The Lord
Light
of Light. Yeah.
just wanted me to survive, so there has to be something else I need to do, which kind of
I
rolled
think
into
it's-
events later.
I think she knew either she would die by the Night King or Night Walker's hands, or if they won, meaning the Night King died, then she will have fulfilled her duty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that the Lord of Light let her die kind of confirms that as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, she definitely wouldn't have died if she didn't fulfill her duty. Also, talking about fulfilling the duty, Barrick, holy shit.
That okay,
Yeah.
so I think I wrote down on my list of stuff, but to decide or to I wanted us to choose an MVP for the episode. In my opinion, it was Barrick.
Oh yeah. He's fucking throwing that flaming sword, giving up all his
Dude,
defenses.
he yeeted the fuck out of that thing.
The fuck. He probably
He yeeteth.
yeet Kobe and then just a skirt for just like uncertainty. And then like the scene when he's blocking the door with
It's like crucified.
I know, it's like it was a crucifixion scene, just like him just like standing there getting stabbed and like that like we were talked about or he talks about like I guess hold on. Everyone asks him why the Lord of Light brought him back like 9 times or whatever, and he's always like, there must be a purpose for me. And his purpose was saving Arya.
Literally a meat shield.
Literally
Yep.
to be a meat shield for Arya to save her. And it was
We had
just
a couple meat shields this episode.
yeah, and it was just like convenient for, Melisandre's to be there because she expected it for some reason. But man,
Yeah, I was not. There was a couple what's the word? Not consistency, but like pacing things that were confusing. Like how the red woman got to where they were.
yeah,
Because she was out in the field briefly before that, like deep into like on the other side of the gates.
But she saw Arya like running, right?
Yeah.
How did she not get attacked? That's like the major thing. It's like, how did she get there? I kind of just chalked it up to like her magic.
yeah,
Yeah.
So I don't remember seeing her between when she lit the trenches and when we saw her with Arya.
Yeah, me either. The other
So
yeah,
she-
I can't.
So she might have just been like, well, the Lord of Light told me I need to be in this room and like wait for Arya to tell her
I suppose so.
about blue eyes. I don't know.
activated my trap card.
Yeah, but definitely MVP to Barrick.
I
Yeah.
think Barrick deserves the MVP. I think Jorah is a close second, but
Yeah.
Barrick, I
Meat
love.
shield number 2.
Yeah, I mean Jorah wins other things that Barrick doesn't win, so I kind of want to give Barrick this one. He's got like this going for him, and he also has like the best voice in the entire show. His voice
Yeah.
cuts differently than other people's. I don't get it, man. Sound engineers love him.
Yeah. Ashley, you need to take voice acting notes. he has some shit going on.
Yeah. I want to come back very briefly to the pacing thing. I 100% agree with Melisandre. The other one that got me really like rough, like hard or confused, I guess, was even Arya just getting to the Night King. Like, sure, Mel was like, "Not today. Go get his blue eyes," and then she like starts sprinting. But if you remember that scene, like the Night King walked up with like literally like 13 other White Walkers, and she like fell out of the sky.
It was like how it was like ask the Night King how did Arya sneak up on him, and she would reply, "I was."
They
trained
did
to do
show
so."
you the White Walker's hair moving,
yeah,
which was
it
Arya
like whiffed. Yeah, it was-
sprinting past him.
Like she was literally
She-
she one knows the Godswood and Winterfell like
Yeah.
the back of her hand, and also devoted her entire adolescence to being a fucking assassin.
Yeah,
She
she's
spent
basically
years
just
in-
Saitama's speed.
Yeah, she like spent years just like catching cats in King's Landing. Like
Yeah.
that was her first training, was just like being sneaky and fast.
I'd like to add on to the pacing thing. I thought the dragon battles were really fucking confusing. That's
I agree.
honestly my biggest gripe of the entire episode. The choreography was just kind of confusing. Like, I guess maybe I don't have a nice enough TV to like really tell the difference, but sometimes I would see dragons collide thinking it was the Night King versus one of the other two, and then it would immediately switch to another scene where it's just like Jon and Daenerys on their dragons together, and I was like, wait, what? When did they meet back up were they the ones that collided out of confusion? Like, what's going on?
I believe they were the ones that collided because they
Yeah.
couldn't see and they were
Yeah.
trying to push what they couldn't see.
That makes a good point. Is that like it's hard to fuck up like sword battles because we've seen them all the time. It's like Dan and Dave say, and like the after thing. It's like it's so easy just to get bored of that because everyone knows it. But the fact that they've tried to do a dragon battle without any like reference to like what a good dragon battle looks like and how to execute it, I think that was definitely a challenge, and I don't think they did it perfectly. So
Do you
no, I
think they
definitely agree.
wouldn't like go and research dragon battles though? Like,
What
I
would
feel
they
like
find?
There was a
there's
Discovery
been a
Channel
lot.
show that tried to prove the existence of dragons, and at the end of it, they made their own dragon battle scene, so they could look at that.
Yeah,
Like,
they could
there's
look
got
at
to be other
Aragon, but
lore. Yeah, or like Lord of the Rings, they probably had dragons. Maybe I don't
They
know.
had these weird Drake things, but no one ever fought
yeah,
them in the
they
air.
didn't. So yeah, I would agree. I think like them flying around in the snow too. I also don't know if it was just the TV because there was a little bit of screen tearing and like also the compression for just video on demand I don't think was perfectly suited for that episode specifically.
Yeah.
There was a lot of dark black. Although I will say, I want to address the fact that the first major complaint was that the battle scenes were too dark. Which, first of all, fuck off, because we've already accepted dark battle scenes as soon as Batman Begins came out.
Yeah.
The darkest battle scenes ever, and now that's just the thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
No,
wanna take a second to look at the comment Mother Earth made because it's also something we wanted to talk about. But Leanna Mormont as a potential submission for MVP of this
No.
episode.
No, I don't think so.
I
I wouldn't say MVP, but I think she had one of the most rewarding, like definitely of the entire episode, the most rewarding death scene. I would say maybe
Yeah.
of the last couple seasons.
yeah. Oh,
I
yeah.
agree. It fit her character so perfectly,
To just
and I
like,
didn't even know it. I wanted it. Like it happened, and I was like, "Oh, that was fucking sick and perfect for her."
Yeah, and it's like that actress, holy shit, like you can see like the fear but also the bravery at the same time. I did not know that you could do that. Like, she was brave but also
You can have multiple emotions, Tyler.
but also she was scared shitless and like when she's getting crushed like she looked like a fucking soda can just like getting crushed and then it's like
Yeah.
yeah.
man.
Leanna Giantsbane, last of the Bears.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty sick. I like that a lot. But
That was very cool.
so going back to the dragon stuff, I liked it because I think it was the best executed I've ever seen a dragon battle, but I definitely don't think it was perfect. However, that ghost scene though at the beginning, what the fuck was Ghost doing in the front lines?
Yeah.
Like
You guys know he lived, right?
yeah, they
Okay,
showed in
good.
the preview that he lived. Did he have like
Yeah.
did they suit his jaw with like a dragon glass grill? Like
Hey, hold up. I'm pretty sure I said this in the last episode, but I really wanted them to just to put like dragon glass tips on all of their teeth.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool if they did that, but also I guess they were just like, well, I mean, the cheapest way to throw him in here is just throw him in the first 5 seconds and have him run. And that's it. That's probably what
Yeah.
happened.
I feel like 99% of what the decisions based around the direwolves come down to how can we spend as little money on this as possible because dragons.
Yeah. But also what do you guys think Bran was watching the whole time? He was warged
So
he was warged into a crow for like 2 minutes, but then he stayed warged.
yeah, so there's some fun memes that came out of this. My favorite one thus far is it's actually Bran controlling the crows, and he's carrying Arya in the air and like drops her on top of the Night King.
I like Atod saying Bran was watching Endgame. I like to think he was just like, yeah, we're gonna die, but I'm gonna at least like watch Endgame and see what
I read
happened there.
a really complicated theory that I don't think I really want to get into, but it basically amounted to Bran was he knew the outcome of what was going to happen, so he was basically planning to set up their next stuff.
Yeah. I also heard that him being warged lets the Night King find him easier for some reason. So that's why he was staying warged, just because like he could attract the Night King faster.
Yeah.
Which,
You know, while we're talking about the battle, I wanted to ask you guys who you thought had the highest body count.
Gendry definitely had that post-nut clarity that I think he just had to just be like rolling.
Dude,
through.
and he was at the top of a fucking wall when they were climbing over, and he was basically just like in a middle school bathroom kicking third graders with a stall door,
He
just
was
like gish,
He had his
gish.
hammer and he was just like, just like scraping them off the wall. Like, no, I definitely think it was Gendry. Or I like
You
to,
think it was Gendry?
I'd like to believe it was Gendry.
I feel like Jorah might be up there.
Oh yeah, Jorah like just. I feel like that last scene with him and Danny was just him and Danny back to back, just spinning.
I saw a meme of when Danny picked up the sword, and it was just like, I don't know what show it was from, but it was just some lady being like, "This is some ghetto shit right here."
Yeah, Danny did not know her way around the sword. Like
I think
Poke 'em with
Brienne
the
might have
pointy
also had one of the highest body counts. There were so many times they showed her just getting surrounded by shit, and then she didn't die.
oh my god,
Yeah.
I have to mention this, but Ashley, you would not stop talking during the episode, and every time someone was mildly in danger, you were like, "Brienne's gone, goodbye, Blanc." I'm like, bro.
At
also
least
had
I
a
wasn't
gift.
like casually talking about like other things related. I was just so invested,
Yeah.
and like I couldn't. The words just escaped my mouth. It wasn't like I was like, I'm gonna actively discuss this. It was me being like, oh shit.
I only got actually annoyed when it was like zero silence, like the last scene when everyone just looked fucked and it was a zero silence, and you said something, and I kind of snapped at you. I was like, "You're ruining the moment, dude." Like,
He's bit killing a show now.
but yeah, no. I thought so many people were dead so many times, but oh, also Ashley, when you're like, wait, who was that just died? I'm like, if you can't obviously see who died, it probably wasn't anyone important. Like, I just wanted to say that, but I also didn't want to talk.
It's like they just killed Grey Worm. Fuck.
You just like hear about it later. It's like, well, fuck.
Yeah. I think I was also low key projecting because I was hoping more important people would die. That way, my ambitious like death
Prediction.
prediction for the episode would have been more likely. It was like, oh well, pretty much everyone who actually is an important character had plot armor.
You also said it about Barrick when Barrick was doing the crucifixion, and like I was super into that scene, and you're like, called Barrick.
Oh,
Yeah. But no, it's,
Yeah.
it's shit. So I was spending my whole day on Reddit today, like I do after every Game of Thrones episode, and there's a big debate on why it was or was not smart for the White Walkers to like not fight. Like, because they didn't fight, they like were in the back lines the whole time.
They didn't need to though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like that was my thing. It's like, why chance you dying and like a fifth of all the whites dying when you could just sit back and like resurrect people who die? Like the whites were they were cleaning house. They were winning.
Oh yeah.
There was no reason for them to like even try to fuck things up. Someone made an analogy. It's like, imagine trying to play chess only using pawns. To which someone else responded, but also imagine playing chess with like 30,000 pawns.
Yeah.
Like,
30,000 pawns, and if a knight is taken, you lose 10,000 of them.
yeah, exactly. That was like another thing. It's like, it made sense to me that then the White Walkers didn't fight. I mean, maybe it was a little less like interesting and dramatic, like not seeing a cool sword fight between like Jon and a White Walker, but I'm glad you two are in the same camp of it being, or it making sense. So,
Yeah, I think it does make sense. Now, Ashley, did you want to provide any unique talking points this episode?
No, I'm good with letting you guys do all the hard work.
Okay, because I have another one too whenever you guys are ready.
Can I point out this talking point? We already talked about it, but it says there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It says
Fuck, I can't
It's
read it.
reverse.
Says Ashley needed to shut the fuck up during the episode.
Hey, you know what?
That was fun.
You know what? I'll keep my words to myself next time, and you won't get to speak to me ever again.
I thoroughly enjoyed your company, and I'm glad I came over to watch it with you. I'm just giving
You know,
shit.
Our good
Hold
friend.
up, there's literally like a monster noise going on outside. I'm sorry.
Our really good friend, special needs businessman Jake Ehrlich, just sent in a question to us. Now, he's been on the podcast before, but and this was also one of my talking points, but he said that if you combine Arya, Beric, and Dany into one person, it would fit the prophecy. Which I was thinking about during that episode and afterwards, that like, what if the Azor Ahai prophecy and the Prince Who is Promised was like not wrong but ambiguous on how many people were in it? Because if you do combine multiple people, they all contributed to the death of the Night King.
Yeah.
My personal
Go ahead.
My personal issue with that is they take the time specifically to note that the word in the prophecy is gender neutral, so it could be a guy or a girl. But I think if it was intentionally ambiguous, they would also note that it didn't, like, it could have been plural. Like, they took the time to say this could be a guy or
Wait,
a
who is
girl.
they?
I think it was either Melisandre.
Missandei.
It was Missandei. She was like, actually, that's language. Like, this word could be a guy or a girl.
Also,
Okay.
what terrible like character naming is it to like name someone Melisandre but also Missandei? That's
Yes.
just a ul sound away from each other.
Very, very difficult for people who are stupid like myself.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Eric, I think that holds a lot of water, especially considering that Melisandre had a hand in bringing all those together, all those three specific people together to that one point.
It's actually more than just those people too.
Oh yeah, like I mean,
If you think about it,
Yeah.
like the Onion Knight, she brought him there. She brought Jon back
yeah,
to life, supposedly.
yeah,
Basically, a lot of people who were still alive and are important, she's like been a key figure.
yeah. No, definitely. I agree. So, what do you guys think happens next? I think we covered this episode pretty well, but what's in store for our homies down south?
Before we dig into that, I think Mother Earth had another pretty good question of anyone who we think that should have died that didn't, or anything like that, if we want to dig into that.
I feel like they could have killed Grey Worm and Brienne with almost no consequences.
I agree
Yeah.
with Brienne. The thing about Grey Worm for me is, without Grey Worm, I feel like the Unsullied feels less significant. Like, he is kind of like the
That's
face.
true.
He's like the leader, and like without him, like I feel like it might just get jumbled, having to appoint another Unsullied, especially like when that's like all they have left really from Dany's camp for, the King's Landing fights.
Yeah, the March South. I think that there's maybe an argument to keep Grey Worm around for that, but I really don't think unless they do something really big with Brienne, I think they really lost the opportunity to like kill her off with honor.
Actually, so I just had this thought right now, but Tyler mentioned that some writers or maybe JR, whatever the fuck old guy's name, George Martin, mentioned that this will potentially have more of a Disney ending than we expect. What if Brienne stays around just so she can get fucking railed by Jaime?
Yeah, no, I have a lot of people dying that it doesn't really fit, or a lot of people living that doesn't really fit into anything other than Disney ending. I have all the Stark children living, which is like...
I had that too.
So I definitely think that, there'll be something.
Yeah, I could see all the Starks living just because like the Starks have gone through so much crap. But yeah, Atodd definitely Clegane Bull.
Dude, 420 hype.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm so ready for that. Oh, you don't even... That's going to be better than this episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can imagine Jaime and the Hound just, like, stomping into, like, the throne room, and it's just being Cersei and, like, the mountain. It's like 1v1. Kill two birds with one...
Yeah.
Two birds with...
In a spit-swapping makeout match.
Shoots and ladders, spit swapping. Yeah, no, I think I am more hyped. After that episode, I'm more hyped for King's Landing than I was prior.
Yeah, man.
And I think it's going to be even bigger. I think it's going to be better than this episode, dare I say. Episode 5.
Do you think Cersei's going to rig this one with those explosives?
Wildfire?
I think so. I think she's going to really fuck shit up. I think Cersei is going to do shit that is really going to put her over the edge. Especially assuming that she'll have a miscarriage.
I think she already did. I saw some evidence that she did.
So there was a leak last season that basically 100% cleared the plot line of season 7, and season 7 ended with Cersei waking up in a pool of blood, having a miscarriage, but they ended up cutting that out. So I think she did, but we're kind of...
The evidence I saw was basically like she didn't drink wine all of season 7, and then she's drank wine in this season.
Yeah, well, we see her like holding wine. I don't think she's drinking.
Yeah, I mean, dude,
Yeah,
I think I think she is.
But I feel like
I think she is, and that's why I said I think something happened with the baby, and that's why she berbered Euron.
Yeah.
Because she knows of the prophecy or whatever, and so she was like, fuck, Jaime's kid's no longer a thing.
Yeah, so she has to get a kid.
Yeah. I'm that's for real what I think happened. And I also didn't know about the wine thing, but that's just what seemed like the only thing that would motivate her to let someone plow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely... Yeah, they probably pulled that because they realized, all right, we have a pretty good opportunity to do the same thing, but with Euron, but still get the same effect, and then also double it with 2 miscarriages. So, yeah, like, I mean, I can see that happening for sure.
Or maybe she just can't have a baby because the Lord of Light or someone wants her to die.
Yeah, maybe the Lord of Light wants to have her baby.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Maggie the Frog specifically said she would have 3 children, they would all die, and then she would like not have any more children or something like that.
That's the Valonqar prophecy.
Yeah.
Well, they broke the prince who was promised, so...
Yeah, so yeah, basically we should just go fuck ourselves when it comes to prophecies.
Thank you. That's my camp right now.
But one thought I did have, our friend Bobby B was real concerned about facing the Dothraki in an open field, and that's something that Cersei doesn't have to worry about anymore.
Yeah, we kind of didn't.
Before I piss myself.
We kind of didn't talk about the fact that the Dothraki all simultaneously committed Sudoku for
Yeah,
no reason.
the Dothraki, that scene I think was just built to one kill off the Dothraki for some reason, but also seeing all
Too
the
powerful.
lights
How can they
fade.
feed all the Dothraki, right?
Yeah, right. Fade out. Like holy shit, that was
Yeah,
yikers
I
for
think
me.
when I was watching it with Sarah, she was like, "What are they doing? That doesn't make sense." And I thought it kind of did because the reason why the Dothraki are so like scary in open fields is for that reason. They charge you and it's chaos, and they also are able to like work themselves up into some sort of like fervor through like groupthink and yipping and yelling and all that stuff. And so it like helps them fight better, but it just there was so many like it just didn't work.
Yeah, and I think that helps a lot with like human opponents. Human opponents that are
Yeah.
Yeah.
susceptible
Oh
to
yeah.
terror and fear.
But these things
And
are terror and
confusion.
fear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Atot
literally the
brings up
whites didn't care if they died.
Atot brings up a good point. That shot when you just see like the literal like wave of light. Maybe they just did it for a cool like shot of the Dothraki marching
Yeah.
in.
I mean, it could have been. It was a very awesome shot.
Yeah.
And it set the scene really well because that was the first sense you got of the size of the undead army.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because before
Uh,
then you didn't see any.
Yeah. It
It,
was
it, it also serves as a balancing tool as well because I think if they had the crew that they had going into this battle and they had marched south against Cersei, the Golden Company is not going to be strong enough to defeat that army. Like
yeah.
but if you pull it down just to like the northern people that are now weakened and trying to rebuild their location, plus like a very weakened, unsullied army, I think now from a literary perspective, there's a much better battle going into this. So it's like one paid mercenary army versus two weakened armies.
So I have a pretty good question about the Golden Company. So Cersei went in debt to the Golden Company in order to get their mercenaries, right? But she went in debt as the crown. So the crown is in debt, not necessarily Cersei and the Lannisters directly. So if the Golden Company realizes that Daenerys will probably win, what do you think that they would switch sides for her since like they're still fighting for the crown and they know that, whoever wins is going to have to pay them back eventually, so might as well lose the fewest men and still get paid the same?
Well, so I don't think it's not the Golden Company that they're in debt to, it's the
Iron
Bank.
Bank, who
Well, the Iron Bank gave the money to the Crown. The Crown gave the money to the Golden Company. The Golden Company is already paid off. I don't know that they care.
are. Yeah, I guess you might be right.
I think my bigger concern, or the bigger thing that they've alluded to a lot this season, is that the Golden Company isn't loyal to Cersei. They're loyal to Euron, and so I think
that's
there's an
good.
interesting potential big unexpected twist where like maybe I don't think Euron's gonna like twist against Cersei, but I think like maybe Euron might do something crazy and be like Cersei be like attack here and Euron's like no, they listen to me, I'm gonna attack over here or something like that, and that causes them to lose the battle or something like small like that.
Yeah.
Or like actually in the teaser for this next season, they show Euron proposing to Cersei. Or well, they don't show him proposing, but they show him getting on one knee and it looks like he's gonna propose. And I
Yeah.
wonder like maybe if she turns him down, maybe he does something crazy like, oh, fight your own war or whatever.
I doubt she would do that. I don't know. It's really hard to say. I think after this next episode, we'll have a better understanding of where this is going. But there's a lot of different like there's a lot of different possibilities of what could happen. I think no matter what, we're going to get a full. Well, we'll probably get some battle, but I don't think it'll be on the scale of anything else. I think there'll be some sort of like thing going on in the background that prevents it from being huge.
Yeah.
I am really curious to see what Varys does
Yeah, he's not
because
doing
he's
that.
been no one this episode,
Yeah.
and
And also,
Yeah.
Melisandre told him it's like you're destined to die here, bro. And like, I think that has to mean something, right? Like she told him
I don't
last
know.
season.
Fuck
She was,
prophecies.
I mean, it's not even a prophecy. She's just, well, I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I have Varys dying, but I don't know how.
Yeah,
Um,
Varys this season feels so strange to me because he went from being like this insanely powerful, conniving character that I was like almost scared of what his motivations were to like now like it's like he's just like
well, he
he's
think-
just
he couldn't-
cowering in a corner.
I think
he
that,
couldn't control the Night King, so he was totally out of his element.
yeah, I think this is the best thing to happen since they killed the Night King. They bring back the human element. So now they bring back all the interesting parts of all the characters we like. Like, now that, human emotion is so unpredictable, it's fun again to, like, speculate, like, what's going to happen with Cersei and Euron and the Golden Company. Because it's just it's so much more unpredictable than being like, yeah, big war, where if this side wins, the story's basically over. So
Yeah.
I think too one of the biggest things that disappointed me, maybe that's why I take a little bit of issue with this episode, is I really expected the Night King to have some secondary motivator. Like
No.
that just straight up seemed like the JRM thing to do, but instead he was just a blanket veil evil being, which really got me. Like I expected some kind of exposition. Like I really liked the theory of him trying to like hunt down his wife, like his lover or whatever in the bottom of the
No.
Winterfell.
they
Here's the
planted
thing,
no
though,
seeds
dude.
for those. That would have been like
Yeah.
one of those things where it's like out of the blue and,
also-
shoehorned in.
Remember what I
Yeah,
said?
but something.
Jer Merton
You're-
was like, Game of Thrones explores the human element.
Yeah.
The problems created and experienced by humans. The Night King's not human,
Yeah.
He
So,
was
like,
human though.
I mean,
but he's not now.
Yeah. Do you think all those
Well-
whites are human now? Like,
Well, so that's my problem. Like, if it just seems to me so far out of the realm of what GOT is trying to be. Like, if it cares about the human emotion and like the human like conundrums, why did they spend an entire season building up an army to fight something that literally like became nothing more than a goodies versus baddies fight scene that ends in a
but also
like a
think
big
about like
stabby boy.
all like the great politics that came into bringing all those people together. All the Bannermen,
Yeah.
bringing the wildlings across the wall, putting a Targaryen in power of all of them. Like,
Additionally, it's an existential threat, an existential crisis, which humans experience. We experience the fear of death. We experience like a midlife crisis. Everyone, or like even other times in your life. But it's like, at some point, you have to confront death and how it appears to you. And so it doesn't really like. I don't think your point holds that much because of that specific reason.
yeah, I mean, his motives were like basically he was created to kill men. That's what the Children of the Forest did. They created the White Walkers to kill the men. And they wanted to kill every part of it down to the memories, which is, to me, a good enough motivator. And now
I
that
don't
he's
know.
gone, like, it's even better now that, like, that story has ended and the people who survived are stronger, and now we can get back to, like, the people.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's interesting. I still think there's a lot of unanswered questions though, and this is just kind of unrelated, but like unrelated to the direct problem of the Night King, but it's like, okay, well now they can disband the Night's Watch and like
Well, they're all
I
dead
don't-
anyway.
Yeah.
Like, he destroyed
there's
the
just
wall.
a lot
like,
of problems that I think they could have solved with some simple exposition that they just chose not to.
like, what problems?
Like, so there's that entire thing. There's like,
What entire
Um,
thing? The fact that all the the Watchers on the wall are dead. Like,
Except for Sam and John, who are no longer really Watchers.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
there's entire like they're gonna have to redefine their political structure there. They never really defined
break the
like
wheel. That's like another seed that's been planted. Is like that has already been
yes,
like once they win,
So
like
they're
there's probably going to be a redefining of the political structure. We still have 3 episodes, so
yeah, and then there's like I don't know things like the why did they wait until they had a dragon to attack or like
attack what?
why didn't the whites come down the wall? Like, why didn't they attack the south sooner? Why did they?
The dragon broke the wall to let them through.
They literally had enough people. The what are they called? The wildlings already set a precedent that you can just climb the wall. Like they had enough whites, they could just climb the wall. Like they did it in this last episode with the fires. I just, I guess to put it this way, I feel deeply unsatisfied with the fact that it's just like, well, all the whites and the White Walkers are gone now when they spent so much time like building up like all of these like components and issues and lore around them. Maybe they'll resolve it, or like they never even explained why the wall was built in the first place or how they had the manpower to do so.
What? No,
Or, like-
Brent the Builder built the wall. They did.
Yeah,
explain-
Bran the
Prevent
Builder
against the
built
White
the wall.
Walkers.
How did a human fucking build a wall that tall and like
We had,
he
protect
was
his magic?
He had the
like-
Children of the Forest back
yeah,
then,
they held.
So-
and he was the first man.
and they don't resolve like the Children of the Forest thing either. They're like, yeah, the Children of the Forest hated humans, so they built the White Walkers. Then they realized, oh
they
wait,
totally
we know,
resolved.
we-
Actually,
we don't hate
we can
humans.
explain everything. Okay, so the
Yeah.
first men were like coming around there, fucking up all the werewood trees, and the Children of the Forest like, hey, stop it. And then the men were like, no, we're not going to do that. So the children were like, all right, well, fuck you. I'm going to create a deadly death machine to kill you. But then they realized, oh yeah, that's too strong. We're going to work together. We're going to like make a treaty with the White Walkers. And then they built a wall and be like, all right, this is where they'll be. This is where you'll be. Like all this stuff was already explained in like season 5.
Yeah, I'm with Tyler on this one. I think the strongest argument you have is that they don't have that they need to use their exposition to explain how the power structure will change. But like Tyler said, we have 3 episodes for that, and also that is the entire idea of Game of Thrones as we've seen in the TV show. Possibly not in the book, but we're not talking about the
Yeah.
book.
And
It also creates a lot of unique problems to explore between humans, which is like, again, the thing that
yeah.
German wanted to do.
Actually,
Yeah,
if you
I'm
want
just
all those
saying,
answers,
I think they could take like it could have taken like 3 or 4 minutes to just have tied up some strings with the White Walkers. Basically, at this point, they can't discuss it anymore because for the next 3 episodes, like we've already talked about, they're focused on the South. They're going to be focused on Cersei and those human conflicts. But I think there's still just a fair amount of like motivational things and like
I think they'll still
things
talk
that
about
are
that.
too
They still
family.
like they're going to probably talk about what happened the night before
Yeah.
next episode. Like I think there's still
And I
some
think Bran will
exposition
have
to be-
answers for him.
Yeah, I think
And
there's
Sam might.
I think there's still exposition to be done. I disagree with most of your complaints, but they're your opinions. I'll give my 2 cents. Eric, you can give your 2 cents, and then we can wrap this up. So,
Actually, I had a proposition for you guys.
all right, hit us with it.
Do you want to extend this episode and make it a little bit longer, and then we can release it in 2 segments?
Sure. Do you
Because
have,
I have a major talking point that we haven't gotten to yet, and I think it will take a little bit of time.
Okay, yeah, totally. But I'm gonna give my kind of counter to Ashley, which we kind of already heard before. I think the White Walkers kind of at high level feel like a red herring. They feel like, all right, you built up all this just to have them die. But I mean, one, they're going to have to die eventually, but also like the bonding of all the people that was, season 1 seemed impossible or is possible now because of the White Walkers. Like that's a human thing that happened. And I think it's going to provide a lot more context for Cersei being the true villain of Westeros, which I think is a lot more.
I think you mean evil humans,
Yeah.
because
And
that's what she is.
yeah, and if you want all that exposition, there's a prequel about the First Men coming out after this. So
Oh, there was.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
there's
gonna say that's one of the things I was thinking. Like maybe they'll explain some of it in there, but I just feel unsatisfied.
but also like there's so little knowledge out there of the origin of the White Walkers that it makes sense to like hold that from us because it's being withheld from them. Like fucking they
Yeah,
didn't
there's
even
not a
know.
reason to break the fourth wall there.
Yeah, they didn't even know Jon was like the true heir to the Iron Throne. How the fuck are they going to know the true motivations and origins of the Children of the Forest and the White Walkers? And shit?
Dude,
Fish, I don't know. Maybe they could have been like, actually, the White Walker speaks. He's like, he gives his evil, maniacal, like, I'm about to end the world speech and then dies. Instead, he just dies.
think about the fact that we get an explanation conversation between John and Danny about the whole aunt and nephew sitch.
Yeah,
And
I
who's
low-key
gonna
want to believe that they're going to just deal with that the way I deal with all of my problems
Ignore
and just
'em?
kind of sit there and hope it goes away.
Yeah, I think they'll still Berber. I think they'll have to. John will basically be like, "I don't care about being
Yeah.
king.
I
You
think
can
he-
have it."
I think he didn't say that to begin with because he wanted to test her. He wanted to see if she would, if that would be her priority. And I think that might
Yeah.
be a point of conflict in the next episode. So I'm excited to see how that,
That is something I'm looking forward
rolls
to.
out.
Okay, so now on to my question. I had sort of a two-part question, but it's the same topic. Number one, in the first part of the episode, when Arya and the Red Woman see each other, I was like, "Why is the Red Woman staring at Arya for so long?"
Mm-hmm.
And then when they confront each other, they know each other, but it wasn't. I don't think it was like explicitly said, but in the dialogue between them, it basically sounded like the Red Woman was the girl who trained her in the House of the Many-Faced God. Is that right?
No, so in season 1 or 2, they met directly. No, it was season 3. I talked about this earlier in the episode, but they met directly, and Mel was straight up like, "Hey, you're a dark spirit. You're gonna kill lots of people. People with brown eyes, people with blue eyes, people with green eyes. Many will die to your hand," or whatever.
Eyes that will seal shut forever.
So how is the House of the Many-Faced God connected to her though?
To Arya?
No, to the Red Woman.
Because is it though?
Well, because she said, well, because so I'm operating under the assumption that her dancing master was the many-faced god.
So you think Serial Pharrell was the many-faced god?
I think so, yeah. Like it would make sense if he was, because
I mean, they didn't show him dying, so I mean,
they didn't show him dying. He was Arya's original teacher and gave her the token that got her to the Temple of the Many-Faced God.
Yeah, maybe. What a
So like considering they're both part of that group, and the Red Woman says, "What do we say to death? Not today." And so does her dancing coach.
Yeah. So, maybe that's how they're connected. Cause she didn't know anything about, that whole saying. So
The Red Woman didn't.
yeah. So I mean, like,
Yeah, how did she know to like say that? Because it was just crap. It was just Arya and sexy trainer guy in King's Landing.
The only way that you can make those connections is that the red woman is somehow connected to the temple of the many-faced god, because that's where, or because because the dancing master was one of them.
Well, do we
Yeah,
know
he
that
was
though?
Bravosi. Yeah, he
We
was-
don't know
Yeah,
that.
all
This
it was
is like
confirmed
what I'm
was that he was
thinking.
Bravosi.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking though, is like, just because you don't see him die, he also is like, so this is a really complicated theory. I don't know if you want me to get into this.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we're going
Yes,
for a double
baby.
episode.
Okay, so I was reading today. This was the thing that I didn't want to talk about earlier, but I'll get into it. I was reading today that just as the Night King is the physical manifestation of evil and death, this Redditor was saying that the three-eyed raven was the manifestation of fire and light for the light god. And so, like, they were drawing parallels between the fact that the Night King can raise the dead, the Lord of Light can also raise the dead. One uses ice to raise them, the other one uses fire. So, like, they say in the
Oh,
show,
I
Beric
like
has
that.
fire for blood. That's how he's alive.
Yeah.
He's confirmed raised from the dead. John is also confirmed raised from the dead. So they're basically fire whites at this point.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
you have those two manifestations. And then the second half of this theory was basically that Bran is the physical manifestation of the Lord of Light, just as the Night King was the physical manifestation of death. And so Bran can... Okay, so now we have those parallels between ice raising the dead, fire raising the dead, and the Night King can also control ice, which you might be able to say Bran could control fire. Like, it's not confirmed or anything. So this is getting into weird territory.
Yeah, you're
But
trying.
consider
You're
that-
like quantumly entangling, kind of like Bran and the Night King.
But consider the possibility that he can speak through fire, which means he can speak to all the priestesses,
Yeah.
as in Melly, who, as we've already talked about, brought everyone together
Yeah.
to that one place. And we also addressed the fact that he can sort of go into the past as the three-eyed raven. So he can control from the past events to happen to get to the point where he is now. And then so like in this post, they were talking about how this corresponds to a bunch of different characters, and they brought up the Jaqen H'ghar, who's the many-faced god. And they think that Jaqen H'ghar was controlled by the Lord of Light. Or not controlled, but like directed by the Lord of
Persuaded,
Light.
Yeah.
Persuaded, because it's been a popular theory that the Dancing Master was Jaqen H'ghar, and so was the dude that Arya ran into in that castle. And also, he was in the temple, right?
And that
Well,
also would
I
give
think-
context to the fact that when Arya left, like the Jaqen H'ghar, she was like, "Fuck you, I'm Arya Stark," and he
Yes.
did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. He like smiled at her.
Yeah, but the girl followed her and tried to kill her.
This was after she killed her. He,
Oh.
like set the lights off. He like went back and he was
Uh-huh.
like, she was like, "Bitch, I'm leaving."
Yeah,
I
which
killed-
basically set her on a path to go back to Winterfell, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure.
the idea is that the Red Woman or Bran or whoever somehow was like setting up events to make Arya first go there. So like it's like a time loop, so it's kind of confusing. He's working in the past to bring the Dancing Master to teach Arya and then give her the coin, and then he also sets up Ned's death. Like, he plants the dagger, like, because he knows who who the assassin is and all of that. So it's like, it's a weird, really complicated idea that Bran is fulfilling his own destiny to become the Three-Eyed Raven, because it's like a paradox, you know. So, but that was like, so the same person was also like, that's what he was doing in the Witchwood, or in the Weirwood. I mean, he was setting up the next shit for like Cersei and all of that, because he knows, like, assuming he knows what needs to be done to make something happen.
Yeah, like he could have been like anything from like sending a raven out to King's Landing, say, "Bitch, we won," or something like that.
Yeah, I think some of it holds more weight than the other parts, but I thought it was really interesting that, that like, the Lord of Light could be working through Bran.
Yeah.
Oh, the person also suggested that Bran might be able to raise the dead, similar to the Night King. And they gave evidence. They gave evidence of it by the fact that Melly gave up trying to resurrect Jon, and it took a little bit longer, as in like Bran warged into that time frame and then resurrected him. And the same thing for Beric.
Oh, so like it's not necessarily the Red Priestess, but it's like Bran.
It could be Bran like warging into that time frame, because a lot of them were delayed.
Yeah.
Like, people would give up. It was like they gave up in their faith or something, and then he would come in, restore their faith, and then like bring the person back because he saw that they were important.
Yeah. Then would that basically show that the Lord of Light was setting up Arya to be the Azor Ahai from the very beginning?
I think,
even though our prophecy is stupid, but
yeah. So this is where it kind of gets spicy, because if you remember, when we were talking about the OG Three-Eyed Raven that died before he transferred his memories to Bran, I mentioned that like that guy has done pretty atrocious shit in the past for the sake of prophecy, right? Mm-hmm. So Bran would have seen what that guy's done, and also understood why he did it.
Yeah.
And known that whether or not they're fulfilling a prophecy, he's set the course of actions for what he wanted to have happen. Like, it's not like he's ambivalent by any means. Yeah. Like, the Lord of Light clearly chooses sides here. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, the idea is, like, maybe not the Azor Ahai, but what the Three-Eyed Raven wants to have happen from the prophecy, which is to bring all these people together in a culmination to destroy the Night King. Maybe they realize that if you try to fulfill just the Azor Ahai prophecy as it was written, you'll fail.
Yeah.
Like, if you just use one person, that sort of thing. I don't know. I thought it was really interesting. I really want to see Bran just start raising the dead, though.
Yeah. I don't think they'll give a lot of exposition to that. But I definitely think it doesn't need to. Like, the fact that we can talk about that and have it make sense is enough to believe it.
Yeah, I don't think it's true. I like the idea that Bran is the yin to the yang, you know, and that he has equal sort of the potential power. Yeah, the Yita to the Yoinketh.
Yeah. I know you said you had a couple more things to talk about, but can we talk about the lack of fucking hustle in that episode? Like, when
Jon needs to fucking sprint more, dude.
Yeah, he needs to sprint, and then also Melisandre just casually walking up to the trenches when there's whites running at bitch.
Like, can we get a little purpose here?
Take your heels off and run.
Yeah,
people are dying.
Yeah.
No,
also the delay to lighting that trench supports my theory of Bran being the Lord of Light.
Oh, by the way. Maybe he was, like, lighting...
Because he was warged then.
Yeah, he was warged then.
What was Jon doing, just chilling? Yeah, he stayed for so long.
He had to take a smoke
and the lack
break.
of hustle, dude. Okay, yeah, so Jon chilling, and also Dany just letting her dragon get fucked by whites.
Yeah.
Hey, man, take off.
Yeah. fly.
You
Just
got wings. Use
Get
'em.
from not the ground, or get from the ground to not the ground.
Yeah. To answer
plain and
Atot's
simple.
question, John just chilling on the wall. So their plan was to basically do nothing until the Night King showed up and then ambush the Night King. But then Danny left because the Dothraki all died. But I think John stayed.
No, John followed right after. Like they
Yeah.
were both flying.
Okay, yeah. But still, I think that was the original plan. I don't know if that's exactly the scene they were talking about.
No, he's talking about like when I can fly. Chris, what are you talking about? He's talking about when after they finally find the castle from the blizzard, John lands on the wall and is just like watching the Night King
yeah.
show up and do shit, and he doesn't ever get down or like anything.
Yeah.
Got a swan dive.
Maybe that's like their way of sowing doubt into the idea that John would be the one to do it. Dude, yeah, and they couldn't light the fucking trench.
Yeah, they needed to be up there so that they can get the signal to light the trenches, but then they weren't there.
Yeah.
And they not only weren't there, but they also had a blizzard obstructing their view.
Yeah. So
I have a question for you, Eric, based on your thought of like Bran potentially being able to raise the dead. Do you really think that Bran's even gonna be a major role in the rest of the season? Because to me, like, there's not really much left for Bran to do. Like, he can't fight. He also, he has no alliance at this point. Like, he isn't aligned with like the Starks versus the Lannisters. His sole thing was being aligned with humans. And now that the Night King's dead, it's kind of just his business to like stare off into the distance and make people feel uncomfortable.
I think there's a chance he might help somehow. I don't think he'll ever raise the dead. I think people would get too confused by that, and I also don't know if it really makes sense. Like, I like the idea of it, but it's a real far stretch of the imagination.
I think he could use like Worgen to crows to kind of like see what Cersei's doing. I think he could basically be a spy. That's all I can
but
really
would
see him
he?
doing.
Because he's not Bran anymore. He doesn't have an alliance to the Starks.
If we run with the idea that Tyler said, where the Night King wasn't the issue, it was evil people being an issue, Cersei is trying to kill a large portion of Westeros. And
Yeah.
if Bran is the memory of man, shouldn't he prefer saving lives? So it might make more sense for him to help them now if he thinks that killing Cersei would be better in the long run.
Yeah, and I also think that he wouldn't give a shit about Jon and his parentage if he wasn't still on the Stark side and still on Jon's side. Like, the whole political structure wouldn't matter to him, so he would be wasting his time to go back there if he didn't.
Telling Jon he's a
actively
Targaryen.
look that information up, though. I thought it was the old three-eyed Raven who directed him to that information.
But he still went back and like made sure that he was a legitimate heir after Sam told him.
Did he?
He did. Sam was
That was
like,
the
"Oh, I
whole-
saw in a book that there was an annulment between, you know."
That's when we got the full flashback.
Yeah.
I thought it was my understanding that the original Three-Eyed Raven, or the previous one, whatever, told Bran, like, he showed him that before the final major scene, and then what happened later in the end of I think it was season 7 or whatever it was, season 5, whatever it was, Bran was like, yeah, Jon's actually the bastard of Rhaegar and Lyanna, and
But
then
if the
and
old
then
Three-Eyed
that's
Raven
when they
had,
talked about the marriage.
if the old Three-Eyed Raven had the same ambitions to just protect humans normally, why would he show Bran that? Like, your logic
he showed
for
Bran
Bran
that because he needed Jon to get Dany to help them fight. I think that's why.
Okay.
Like, he was setting in motion the things that were required to get everyone there to fight. But I think a more difficult question to answer is why he would help defeat Cersei. And it's really, I think it really comes down to if he thinks that if he thinks that destroying Cersei or eliminating her is better for humanity in the long run.
Yeah.
Which it sure seems like it would be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think yeah, no, it definitely makes sense for him to help Jon because you know, he is the best. Him and Dany are the best options to save humanity. So
Yeah, he could see, like, I don't know, he might think the mix of Jon and Dany's upbringing would bring about like a peaceful, efficient rule.
I think it
Chris
turns
asks why he should care about humanity at this point, because he's the memory of man. He has to care about humanity.
Yeah, he is the memory of humanity. Like yeah, I think he has a lot of reasons to care about humanity and the survival of it, especially. Like,
yeah. I mean, it is interesting though, because the Night King was always, the Night King was always the imminent threat. But that's what I'm saying is, like, unless he thinks that Cersei would go through with it and kill everybody, which people have said she would, like,
she wouldn't leave a Stark alive.
No, Jaime was like, she'll kill everyone up here.
Yeah.
But it sounds like she wouldn't kill people in the South, I guess. I don't know.
Cersei's
I don't think she wants to kill
crazy.
humanity.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to kill humanity, but
She wants
I'm
to kill her
saying, like,
rivals. Like,
if she wants to kill enough people, Bran might be like, we should not let that happen.
Yeah. I think he has a lot of reasons to care about, especially Jon and Dany winning. Maybe not winning, but like ensuring peaceful rule in Westeros. And I think he can't. I don't think he can see the future, but I think he can sense there being a better future with Jon and Dany.
I think he can sense what needs to be done now to create a better future than having Cersei rule.
Yeah. Yeah, fucking Cersei's crazy. She fucked her brother a couple of feet away from her inbred child.
Dude, that's so child. Alabama.
Yeah, super Bama.
The most Alabama.
Yeah. So I think
Bama.
Cersei will do anything. I kind of wish that she would do something crazy, like skin one like Sansa alive and then hang her up as a flag in fucking throne room or something. Like something to really like.
I don't know if that would happen if that happened.
I don't think. I wouldn't like that. That was just an example of like shit I want to see happen.
Here's another topic. So the Night King dying from the foreshadowed knife, and I think there was another person who died from something that was foreshadowed, like the way they killed someone. But what do you think about Bronn coming with a crossbow, the same thing that Tyrion used to kill his dad? If they're doing all those foreshadowed deaths with foreshadowed weapons, you know, we've been saying he won't do it, but they just planted something that they could break the mold.
Mm-hmm.
We could hope. Tyrion does break the mold a lot, though, so maybe that's like the one person who could do it.
I think, man, I don't want Bronn to fulfill it, but I think it would be very satisfying if he did, because I don't think he will, if that makes sense.
You just love prophecies.
It's not prophecy. It's like I don't think he will, but I would like it if he did, because it would be subverting my expectations, basically.
Yeah, that's interesting, because a lot of people's problems with the most recent episode was that it subverted your expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do it in a way that makes sense, I don't care. Like
Yeah.
I think Arya made sense.
Hey man, you're not a writer.
Me?
Like, no, not you, but like people who get pissed about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, let the writers do it. They've shown us they're amazing.
Yeah. The show would not be as good if
I feel like you should still have the right to get upset, though, because, like, while
No.
across the macro level it's good and it's objectively good, that doesn't mean you as an individual like it, and that doesn't prevent you as an individual from having negative feelings about the decision made for the episode.
It's pretty simple. Get better feelings.
Yeah, just feel better about it.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm fine with people not liking some of the decisions, but if their reasons are pedantic, like it stole the moment from John, who's been like working up for that, then I get a little upset.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Not
Hold up.
I'm gonna mute you. No, I wasn't saying you explicitly said that. Other people I've talked to have said that. Yeah, no, go ahead, Eric.
I was
I'm
gonna
getting
say,
too
Chris
heated.
asked, when do we find out where the knife comes from? We got a hint about it when Sam was in the library. It was very obviously shown in one of the books, and it's a really fucking old knife. I think in the original books, like the text that Ermin wrote, it was supposed to be like the knife that actually turned the Night King.
Ooh,
That's what I read, but like that doesn't really make sense because I thought the knife was still in the Night King.
It
Yeah.
was definitely dragonglass that was put into his chest.
Yeah, so Valerian Steel, so that event predates the rise of Valyria, which means Valyria Steel wouldn't be there.
Yeah,
But
so that doesn't really make sense. But it was old. I think it was around the rise of the Seven Kingdoms.
the fact that it was in that book and clearly shown in that book, I think we might get a payoff from Sam going back and looking at that and seeing a significance to that dagger or an origin
No,
of that dagger.
blankness. Sam, I've stolen a significant number of books from the Citadel.
I think we might get a little payoff. I think like the more pragmatic answer is all we've been obviously shown in the show is that it was planted by Littlefinger, right? On the
Littlefinger.
assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Littlefinger basically set out the hit on Bran and then blamed it on Tyrion.
And he did that for someone, right?
For himself. I mean, he's been playing the Game of Thrones for so long. Like, it was all part
But
of trying
like
to gain power.
someone wanted him to do that, is what I'm saying.
I don't.
That's what I read today.
Yeah, you're
I don't
probably
think
right. I don't
Littlefinger did
remember.
anything he didn't want. Like, he didn't do for himself.
There was like some debate on what actually. So it was talking about the circle of what started the war among humans that ended the war among humans versus the dead. So that dagger theoretically was what started the war between the Lannisters and the Starks, and some neckbeard was like, actually, it wasn't the dagger. Someone did something, and then they needed to do this dagger thing because of it. So it was that original thing, but I can't remember what.
Yeah, I'm looking it up now. Littlefinger told her the dagger was his, but he lost it to Tyrion Lannister, thus making Tyrion responsible for the death. The lie only serves to create distance between the Lannisters and the Starks, which, as we know, resulted. So basically, Littlefinger wanted the Starks and the Lannisters to fight.
Yeah, there was something. I wish I remembered what it was, but there was something that was like behind the scenes for what like spurred Littlefinger to do that.
Yeah.
The realm.
Yeah, I'm not
Do
sure.
you
I'd
know
have to
what
go
the
back
realm
and
is?
watch season 1, but no, that dagger has like a lot of significance, and I'm
It is
hoping,
very-
but like also not expecting to hear more about it.
Yeah.
I mean, we might. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there's still a lot of information.
Next
to be gained
episode's
from
not going to be
Sam.
the battle.
Yeah,
It's
going
probably
to be
the second to last episode.
Yeah, we still have the next episode's going to be over it's like an hour 20 minutes of just like talking, which I'm super pumped for, especially that
I was going to say I'm definitely pumped for that too.
especially since we haven't seen Cersei in 2 episodes. Like
And like the first episode of the season was awesome. I love good dialogue and character development, and I don't necessarily need a spit swapping makeout match. Although I want one between the Hound and the Mountain.
Yeah.
Don't we all?
420. Okay, that was I was my only question was about Arya and the Red Woman, but you guys cleared it up for me, and then I made it a lot more needlessly complicated.
All right. So, I guess now I can finally give. Wait, no, I already gave my 2 cents. Ashley, you gave your 2 cents. Eric, what'd you think of the episode, the decisions made, and do you think they were good decisions?
I also already gave my 2 cents. I liked it, man.
Okay.
I thought it was good. I don't have issue with the plot. The only issues I had were really there's a couple like consistency things or the pacing of stuff, basically.
Yeah. And I think it was
it
was hard when you had so many main characters there and you kind of had to like give all of them enough credit and time.
I'll cut them some slack, even though I don't know how much they really deserve, just based on like the amount of money spent on that episode.
Yeah.
But you have to be a little fair with it, because it wasn't awful. It wasn't like a Nicolas Cage movie or something.
Still, like if I were to rate it, I want to give it like IGN 10 out of 10. Definitely like an 8.5 or a 9. Was
it better than Battle of the Bastards to you?
Nope. Battle of the Bastards will be the epitome of
Epitone?
the what's the right word for it?
Epitome?
Epitome of perfect fucking TV. That shit
That was a really good episode.
was
Who directed that episode?
Epitome
the same people.
is a perfect example of a
Yeah,
particular
you said the
thing.
word wrong. It's epitome.
Too loud. You're way too loud.
Epitome. I googled it.
Yeah, that's pronounced epitome.
Oh.
I think you're wrong, Ashley. It's definitely epitome.
Play the
okay.
fucking sound button.
No, you're right. You're right. I'll take that one.
Epitome.
You
I'll take that
little.
out. Was it the same director
Maybe I was
as
just being
as the Lord of the Rings fight?
I thought it was the same director for the current episode.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. It's 2 directors, I think.
Epitome.
It was a pair.
no, so Dan and Dave wrote this one, but there was a different director. So
Okay, well, I was just curious because I don't really remember the Battle of the Bastards that well, to be honest.
I think the Battle of the Bastards benefited from it being strictly John's point of view.
Yeah.
And I think
it helped with the pacing.
Yeah, it helped with the pacing, it helped with the choreography, it helped probably with the budget, since they really only had to show what was around John.
Yeah.
But no, I don't foresee there being a better episode than that one. But hopefully
Fuck,
I'm
this
wrong.
is a good show.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, there's still a battle with Cersei at some point.
Yeah.
And you're on.
Battle over Cersei's underwear.
Of her entrails.
Ugh. Jamie versus... Do you think we'll get a Jamie versus Euron fight?
Oh, that would be so sick. I'm actually, yeah.
We might.
Hype
We actually
that.
might get that.
Hype
And then
Jamie v.
Bran
Euron.
comes in and Hulk smashes.
Yeah.
All right, man. Let's wrap this up a little bit, huh?
Yeah.
She never wanted to leave.
Scared.
But we're over an hour and a half. So now we have to leave.